For quadrilateral ABCD, AB is equal to 51 centimeters, AD is equal to 102 centimeters, and AC is equal to 93 centimeters. Angle ABC is equal to 114 degrees, and angle CAD is equal to 36 degrees. Calculate, given your answer to the nearest whole number, the length of CD. So our goal here is to determine what is the length of CD. And so here we have to figure out what is the length of CD. And so what we have to do is we're going to label. All right, so let's label our diagram. Remember, our goal is to figure out what is the missing side, right? So the missing side is CD. And so we're going to label this missing side. We're going to label it small a, all right? And that's in light of the cosine rule, because the cosine rule says that a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine of a. What does that mean? That means that if we're trying to find the missing side, which is small a, we're going to label the missing side small a. Okay, so the angle rather, that is opposite, the angle that is opposite the missing side, we call that capital A. So 36 degrees is capital A. And B, so let me label that capital A. So let's call this capital A. So 36 degrees is capital A, right? That's capital A, 36 degrees is capital A. And so we know that small a is the missing side, the angle that is opposite the missing side. We call that capital A. Small b is equal to 102 centimeters, right? And small c is equal to 93 centimeters. And so let's substitute these values. B is equal to 102, right? B is equal to 102. C is equal to 93. B is equal to 102. C is equal to 93, and capital A is equal to 36 degrees. That's what capital A is equal to. Capital A is equal to 36 degrees. And so we have 102 squared plus 93 squared, and 102 squared plus 93 squared is equal to 19,053. Then we have 2 times 102 times 93, and that gives us 18,972. And we have to multiply it by cosine of 36. Next, what we do? Well, we evaluate this. I shouldn't have written this twice. So let me know. I shouldn't have written this twice. It shouldn't be there twice. So let me move this. We can go directly from this line straight to this line. Okay. So we have, when we evaluate 19,053 minus 18,972 multiplied by cosine of 36, that gives us 37,000 and 4.329583. So a squared is equal to 37,000. I'm sorry, a squared is equal to 3,704.329583. Next, in order for us to find the value of a, in order to figure out what a is, we're going to take the square root of both sides because we're trying to get rid of the power 2. So when we do that, this root cancels with the power. And so we are left that with a is equal to the square root of 3,704.329583. Now, what is the square root of this number? Well, the square root of this number is equal to 60.86320385. And that's what a is equal to. But they want us to express our answer correct to the nearest whole number. So we look at this number, which is 8. And once it's greater than 5, we can add 1. Or we could round up. So we add 1 to 0, and adding 1 to 0, we get 0 plus 1, which is 61. So that means that a is equal to 61. But a is the missing side. A is the length of the missing side. And so that means that CD is equal to 61. And in this case, it's going to be 61 centimeters. So let's put centimeters here. 61 centimeters. That's what CD is equal to, 61 centimeters. And that's the answer to this particular question. Next, we're going to use, our goal is to figure out, it says, calculate, given your answer, the nearest whole number, the angle ACB, the angle ACB. So what do they want? The angle ACB. So this is A, this is C, and this is B. So they want this particular angle right here, the same angle right here. And so since they want this particular angle, we have to figure out what it is. Now, this is the missing angle, and we're going to call this missing angle capital A. And if we call the missing angle capital A, the side that is opposite the missing angle, we're going to call that small a. So the missing angle is capital A, and the side that is opposite the missing angle, we call that small a. Then we're going to call this particular number, or this particular angle, we're going to call that capital B. So let me put it there. We're going to call this capital B. So we call this capital B. All right. So this is capital B, and the side that is opposite capital B, we call that small b, and that's 93 centimeters. So the missing angle, we call that capital A. The missing angle, we call that capital A. The side that is opposite the missing angle, we call that small a. And then we have capital B, which is 114 degrees, and the side that is opposite capital B, we call that small b, and that's 93 centimeters. And we could use the sine rule to figure out what is going to be capital A. So the sine rule says, this is the sine rule. The sine rule says that sine of capital A divided by small a is equal to sine of capital B divided by small b. So let's substitute our values. We know that A is equal to 51, so we put 51. We know that B is equal to 114, so we put 114 right here. We know that small b is equal to 93, so we put 93 here. And we know that A, well, capital A, we do not know what that value is. We don't know what capital A is. And since we don't know what capital A is, we're going to call it X, right? Because we don't know what that value is. It's unknown value. And so what we're going to do is we're going to cross multiply. And so when we cross multiply, we get that 93 multiplied by sine of X. And we have 51 multiplied by sine of 114. And so what we have is we divide both sides of this equation by 93. All right, so this cancels with that. And so we have sine of X is equal to 51 times sine of 114 all over 93. And so we have sine of X is equal to 51 times sine of 114 divided by 93. Next, what we do? We say 51 times sine of 114. We multiply this numerator, and we get 46.59081834 divided by 93. Next, what we do is we actually divide the two. So we divide 56.59081834, we divide that by 93. And when we divide these two, we get 0.500976541. So sine of X is equal to this particular decimal. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the sine inverse of both sides. So we have sine inverse of sine X and sine inverse of this decimal number. We are able to cancel out sine inverse with sine, and we get that X is equal to sine inverse of 0.500976541. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say, when we evaluate that, when we evaluate sine inverse of this particular decimal, we get that X is equal to 30.06 462849. Again, 30.06462849. That's what X is equal to. But they want us to give our answer correct to the nearest whole number. And if we look at this particular number right here, this is 0. 0 is a less than 5. And so since 0 is less than 5, we cannot round up. And so the answer is ACB is equal to 30 degrees. And so this is 30 degrees right here. And that's what ACB, angle ACB is equal to. Angle ACB is equal to 30 degrees. And so this is our answer, correct to the nearest whole number.